Imagine the sound of a normal school day, the chatter, the shuffling of backpacks, the squeak of shoes on polished floors, suddenly collapsing into a silence so sharp it feels like it could cut you. Imagine laughter dying mid-sentence, desks freezing in place, and every eye widening as a single announcement crackles through the loudspeaker. Attention students and staff. This is a lockdown. Those few words hold the weight of every unseen fear. Every possibility you prayed would never happen. The lights dim, the doors lock, and suddenly the world you thought you knew twists into something unfamiliar, something colder, something that demands every ounce of courage you've ever had. This is the atmosphere surrounding 3 terrifying real school lockdown stories. Viewer discretion advised. Tonight, you are stepping into the shadows with me, not to glorify fear, but to understand it, and in understanding it, to rise above it, because hidden within every terrifying moment is a lesson, a quiet spark of hope, a reminder that even in darkness, the human spirit fights to survive. Keynote 1 carries the heartbeat of survival. Awareness is not paranoia, is the quiet guardian that stands between danger and safety. Layla's story becomes the compass for this truth, and when we peel back its layers, we understand why awareness matters more than we ever realize. That Thursday morning felt like every other day, soft sunlight filtering through the window, a half-finished worksheet on her desk, the low hum of her classmates' voices filling the air. But beneath the routine, Layla felt a faint tremor in her chest that she couldn't name. Most people ignore that feeling, chalking it up to nerves or overthink, but awareness whispers to those who listen. She noticed the unfamiliar vehicle, the way a person notices a sour note in a familiar song. It didn't belong. The engine running endlessly, the slight tilt of the car, the figure hunched low in the driver's seat as though waiting for something or someone. Her mind kept drifting back to it, even while her classmates joked about weekend plans. Every glance toward the window made the pit in her stomach tighten, until it felt like a fist closing inside her. Awareness begins when you trust the small things, the quiet details, the ones people often dismiss as irrelevant. Layla didn't want to be wrong, but she also didn't want to stay silent. When she approached her teacher, her voice trembled, but the truth inside her didn't. Fear tries to convince you that speaking up makes you dramatic, but survival whispers that silence sometimes costs too much. When the teacher stepped outside to call the office, that thin sliver of time stretched like a wire drawn tight. Layla watched the clock tick, her heart pounding with each second. She didn't know that the intruder was already approaching the back entrance, that his hand had already touched the metal frame of the unlocked door. She didn't know that her small act of observation had started a chain reaction behind the scenes, administrators moving, security tightening, a barrier rising in the nick of time. When the lockdown announcement came, the room fell into a cold, trembling stillness. Desks scraped quietly as students crawled to their hiding spots, breaths held like fragile glass. Layla felt the enormity of the moment. The way something so small, her glance out a window, could stand like a shield between life and loss. Awareness had not made her fearful, it had made her ready. Later, when the situation ended and the intruder was taken into custody before he could reach a single classroom, the principal spoke with her privately. Layla expected reprimand for causing unnecessary worry, but instead she heard gratitude so heavy it brought tears to her eyes. Her awareness didn't just save her classmates, it saved whole families from grief. What makes this story powerful? Isn't that Layla was extraordinary at that she wasn't. She was an ordinary student who trusted an uneasy feeling. Awareness is not a superpower reserved for a select few. It is something we all possess. But accessing it requires humility, courage, and the willingness to act even when you're unsure. So many people ignore their instincts because they fear being wrong. But being wrong costs nothing. Being silent when danger is real can cost everything. Awareness is paying attention not because you're scared of the world, but because you value your place in it. It teaches you to read the subtle changes, the tone in someone's voice, the shift in the atmosphere, the uneasy tremor in your chest. These are not burdens, they are gifts. Gifts that prepare you, protect you, and sometimes guide you toward saving others. Lala's courage wasn't loud, it was quiet, steady, intuitive, and deeply human. And in the most terrifying moment of her life, it was enough. Keynote 2 grows from that foundation. Staying calm under pressure. Fear is a wildfire that spreads through a group in seconds, but calmness is the water that stops it from consuming everything. Marcus's story shows this beautifully. The moment the lockdown was announced, panic crashed over the classroom like a wave. A girl dropped her phone. Another started crying, choking on air. The teacher was trembling as she tried to lock the door. Marcus, known for being quiet and reserved, did something unexpected. He sat in the center of the floor, closed his eyes, and began breathing deeply, loudly, slowly. His steady breaths became the rhythm the others followed. His voice, soft but firm, kept repeating, "Just breathe with me." That calmness did not erase the fear in the room, but it softened, it controlled it, and when officers finally came knocking, the students heard them because Marcus had helped them stay grounded. Calmness doesn't make you fearless. It gives you clarity when fear tries to blind you. Keynote 3 focuses on unity. During a lockdown in New Mexico, two students who barely knew each other found themselves pressed behind a bookshelf, trembling so hard they could feel each other's shaking bones. They whispered, stories, not heroic ones, but small ones about their pets, their siblings, their favorite songs, just to keep their minds anchored. In the darkness, strangers became lifelines. That moment taught them that unity doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a quiet presence beside you whispering, "I'm scared too, but we'll get through this together." Keynote 4 reveals the power of silence. In an elementary school lockdown, the teacher used simple hand signals she had practiced with her students. No words, no whispers, just silent movements. A class of children, many too young to understand what was happening, became completely still, imagining themselves as invisible trees in a quiet forest. Their silence shielded them. Their innocence contained unimaginable strength. Sometimes the quietest moments become the bravest memories. Keynote 5 explores courage in the small decisions. Prael was the shy student who rarely spoke, the girl who avoided attention like it was a spotlight too heavy to bear. But during the lockdown in her Florida school, she was the one closest to the door. And when she heard footsteps echoing down the hall before her teacher could even reach the lock, she acted. She slammed the door shut, twisted the lock, pushed a heavy chair beneath the handle. Her hands shook so violently she could barely breathe. But those seconds mattered. That barrier stood firm until help arrived. Courage isn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the trembling hands of someone who finally believes they must act. Keynote 6 honors the bravery we witness in others. In one lockdown reel in California, a teacher named Mrs. Donnelly guided her students into a storage closet so small they had to kneel shoulder to shoulder. She positioned herself in front of them, her body between the door and the children. They later described her as a human shield made of pure love. Students said that in those moments, they learned what true bravery looks like. Not loud, not heroic, but sacrificial. And witnessing bravery plants something powerful inside of us. A belief that humans are capable of extraordinary compassion even while fear tries to consume them. Keynote 7 emphasizes preparation as empowerment. In Nevada, students who decomplained about safety drills being boring or pointless ended up relying on those same drills when a real threat entered the building. They barricaded the door with lab tables they had practiced moving. They turned off lights. They ducked behind counters. Everything they rehearsed, they executed even while their hearts pounded like fists inside their chests. They later admitted they were terrified, but preparation had given them a roadmap through the chaos. It gave them direction. Direction gave them control. And control gave them hope. Keynote 8 shines light on hope in the darkest hours. In Canada, a school spent nearly 3 hours in lockdown while police searched the building for an armed intruder. Students huddled together, convinced every small creak in the hallway was the sound of danger approaching. Some prayed, some held hands, some cried without making a sound. By the time the search ended and the all clear sounded, many burst into tears, not from fear but from overwhelming relief. Hope is not a fragile thing. It is the stubborn force that keeps you going even when your world narrows to the space under a desk, even when the future feels uncertain. Hope breathes when terror tries to suffocate. Hope whispers when fear screams. Hope survives. When we weave together all these stories, Lola's intuition, Marcus's calmness, the strangers who united, the children who mastered silence, Brielle's trembling courage, the teacher's sacrifice, the student's preparation, the deep-rooted hope, we realize something important. Fear may shake us, but it does not own us. We are built with instincts that protect us, hearts that steady us, hands that help others, minds that adapt, and souls that rise even when darkness tries to put them out. And for every terrifying moment, there is a lesson waiting to guide us. May you walk forward with strength, wrapped in wisdom, guided by intuition, shaped by courage, and lifted by hope. May God surround your life, your school, your home, and your heart with protection that cannot be broken. May every shadow be met with light, every fear be met with faith, and every step you take be guarded gently from above. May He watch over every student, every teacher, every family, and every soul who hears these words tonight.